Returning to the rape and plunder of the Mustalik Arabs, we read in Tabari and Ishaq.
According to Aisha, a number of Mustalik were wounded. The messenger took many captives, and they were divided among all the Muslims. Juwayriyah was one of the slaves. When the Prophet divided the captives by lot,
that means that they partook in a gambling game, something expressly prohibited in Islam.
Juwayriyah fell to the share of Thabit, Muhammad's cousin. She gave him a deed for her freedom, which he did not accept. Juwayriyah was the most beautiful woman, and she captivated anyone who looked at her. She came to the apostle seeking help. As soon as I saw her at the door of my chamber, I took a dislike to her, and I knew that he would see in her what I saw.
Aisha was right.
Tabari. Muhammad said, "Would you like something better than that? I will discharge your debt."
Ransom payment.
And marry you.
The story is that she agreed. The reason?
100 families of the Mustalik were freed as a result of the marriage. I know of no woman who was a greater blessing to her people than she.
Juwayriyah was a real martyr. The immigrant Muslims from Mecca and the converted ones from Medina were often hostile, even with one another. Such was the case on this day.
Tabari and Ishaq. Jaja and Juhani began crowding each other at the watering places and fought. Juhani shouted, "People of the Ansar!"
Those would be the Medina Muslims.
Jaja shouted, "People of the Emigrants!"
These are the Meccan Muslims.
Abdallah bin Ubayy,
the leader of the Ansar,
became enraged and said, "Why are they doing this? Are they trying to outrank us and outnumber us in our own land? The proverb, 'Feed a dog and it will devour you,' fits these Quraysh vagabonds. When we go back to Medina, those who are stronger will drive out the weaker." Then he turned to his tribe and said, "This is what you have done to yourselves. You have allowed them,"
the Meccan Muslims,
"to settle in your land,
Yathrib,
and divide your wealth. Had you kept from them what you had, they would have moved to another place."
The first Muslims were at each other's throats. Back in Medina, and in the presence of the Prophet, the immigrants weren't ready to let Abdallah Ubay's outburst drop. They wanted blood.
Tabari. Abdallah said, "Those who are stronger will drive out the weaker from Medina. But you, O Messenger of Allah, will drive him out if you wish. He is the weak one, and you are the strong one. Allah caused you to arrive at the moment when his people were stringing precious stones to make him a crown. He thinks that you deprived him of a kingdom." Ishaq. Umar said, "Tell someone to go kill him." The apostle answered, "But what will men say about me if I start killing Muslims?"
A young recruit must have rushed in just at that moment, for we find in both Tabari and Ishaq,
"Messenger of Allah, I have been told that you want to kill Abdallah bin Ubayy. If you're going to do it, command me, and I will bring you his head. I will kill a believer to avenge an unbeliever, and thereby enter the fire of hell." The Prophet said, "No." Thus, after that day, it was his own tribesmen who censured him and threatened him. When word of how they were behaving reached Muhammad, he said to Umar, "What do you think, Umar? Had I killed him the day you ordered me to, prominent men would have been upset, who, if I ordered them today to kill him, would do so."
Mohammed was evil, not stupid. Other than prostrating oneself in submission, paying the zakat, and fighting jihad, Muslims have never had a way to determine who really was one. Even Mohammed couldn't tell.
Tabari. Mikyas came from Mecca pretending to have become a Muslim and said, "Muhammad, I have come to you as a Muslim to seek blood money for my brother who was killed by mistake." The Prophet ordered him to be paid blood money for his brother, and he stayed briefly with Muhammad. Then he attacked his brother's slayer, killing him. He left for Mecca as an apostate.
According to Islam, an apostate endures hell's hottest fires. It's okay to kill, and good to accept booty for killing, but only if Allah is credited with the murder. This next hadith is especially revealing.
Ishaq. "O Apostle, I will accept Islam and give you my allegiance." on the condition that my past faults are forgiven and no mention is made of what has gone before. Allah's messenger said, Give your allegiance, for Islam does away with all that precedes it, as does the Hijrah.
That would be Muhammad's shameful flight from Mecca. Muhammad proudly announced, and Ishaq dutifully recorded, words that should send shivers up the spine of every non-Muslim. The religion of Islam, the feeble and demented doctrine that emerged before the terrorist raids, before piracy, kidnapping, the slave trade, and mass murder, was no more. All that preceded the Hijrah had been abrogated. All that remained of the pelagious doctrine was now vice, villainy, and violence. It's apparent that Aisha got her pigtails bent out of shape with the addition of the seductive Juwayriyah to the harem. The next 6 pages, in both Tabari and Ishaq, are dedicated to what's called
the account of the lie that was uttered.
Ishaq says with great trepidation,
Tabari and Ishaq, according to a man I do not suspect, and others who contributed parts of the story, a report has been assembled for you based on what people have told me in regards to the account of Aisha's story about herself, when the authors of the lie said about her what they said.
Mohammed's fellow Muslims accused Aisha of infidelity, cheating on the Prophet. It's hard to believe she would act so immaturely at 14. It's hard to imagine why she would want to be loved by someone within 40 years of her age. Yet apparently, after becoming one of a score of sex toys in the Prophet's collection, there was some unauthorized fornication. Afraid to demean Muhammad's excuse and contradict the Quran, Tabari treads lightly as well.
Each contributed to her account. Some relayed what others did not. Each was a reliable informant concerning her, and each related about her what he had heard. The whole of her story rests on these men.
Neither Tabari nor Ishaq batted an eye when they told us that Mohammed had spoken for the devil, that Allah had approved booty, rape, and the slave trade. They reported the annihilation of the Jews like true soldiers. But now they have made a dozen excuses, so as to say, if you don't like this report, don't blame me.
Tabari and Ishaq. Aisha said, when the raid on the Mustalik took place, Muhammad had his wives draw lots, as he used to see who would accompany him. My lot came out over theirs, and he took me along. Women in those days used to eat only enough to stay alive. They were not bloated with meat so as to become heavy. While my camel was being saddled, I would sit in my litter. Then the men who were to bind my litter onto my camel would come and place my howdah on the camel. They would take hold of the camel and walk alongside.
This provides an interesting insight into Muhammad's priorities. Setting off on a terrorist raid, he used men and a camel to carry a girl so that he might not be deprived of sex. As such, believing that this man was a prophet, speaking on behalf of God, requires us to be deprived of a brain.
Ishaq. When the people had mounted, I went out to attend to a need of mine, to relieve myself. I had a necklace with onyx beads. When I was finished, it came undone without my noticing. I retraced my steps to the place where I had gone, looking for it until I found it. But while I was away, the men who saddled the camel for me assumed that I was in the litter and lifted it up. When I returned to the camp, not a soul was there. I wrapped myself in my jibab and lay down in the place where I had gone. I thought they would return.
The continuing saga is so peppered with innuendo, it's embarrassing. Both Tabari and Ishaq reveal,
I had just lain down when Safwan al-Sulami passed by. He had lagged behind attending to a need of his. He had not spent the night with the troops. When he saw my form, he approached me and stood over me. He used to look at me before the veil and the hijab was imposed on us. When he saw me, he exclaimed in astonishment, "The apostle's wife!" He asked why I was alone, but I did not speak. Then he brought his camel near and said, "Mount!" I mounted, and he came. He took hold of the camel's head and set out with me, hastened in pursuit of the party. He told me to ride it while he kept behind, so I rode it.
To cut to the chase, the rumors of their party were vicious,